maybe it's the most epic night that has happened in a city of 2 million people, that the Foo Fighters went and played a great show and made so many people cry and so many people dance and sing and enjoy with the songs they've grown with.
Welcome back to Foo's Files, the podcast for fans of the Foo Fighters. Hope you're all having a good week. It's Dan here, and it's Wednesday, the 14th of January, which means it's Dave Grohl's birthday. So, happy birthday to the main man. I know we've got a few regular listeners who are heading to the Kia Forum in LA tonight for the big birthday bash. Very, very jealous. That's going to be a great night. It's going to be amazing. Really can't wait to see all the clips and hear all about it. But I guess the big news in the run-up to the band's live return is that there's a new face joining them on stage, because they announced last week that Pat Smear, in quotes, smashed the shit out of his left foot in what's been described as a bizarre gardening accident. So they've said he'll be unfortunately missing a few shows while the broken bones in his foot heal. They haven't said exactly how many, but you'd expect that to mean the Mexico show they played at the weekend, the Forum tonight, and then Tasmania on the 24th. And then they're not back in action again after that until May time, where they've got the festival at Daytona Beach and another one they've announced at Napa Valley. So you'd like to think that Pat will be back in time for those. Nevertheless, I'm sure you'd like to join me in saying, get well soon, Pat. Hope to see you back on stage very soon. I mean, it seems from the way they broke the news on social media that they've all been having a good laugh and joke about it. But yeah, recover well, Pat, rest up, and let's get you back on stage, fit and raring to go for the summer. But while Pat recovers, the Foo Fighters have drafted in a stand-in guitarist, Jason Falkner. Now, if that name doesn't immediately ring a bell, then I'm about to explain exactly why he's a solid choice to step in for the band at this time. And that's because Jason, he's had quite the career, and he's one of those people who doesn't necessarily make the headlines, but other musicians quietly revere him in the background. And his fingerprints, they're all over modern rock music, really, as a guitarist, songwriter, producer, and multi-instrumentalist. So let's go right back to the beginning. Jason came out of the late 80s Paisley Underground scene in Los Angeles, first joining the band The 3 O'Clock before then becoming lead guitarist in Jellyfish, who were one of the most celebrated power pop bands of the 1990s. Jellyfish were famous for their Beatlesque harmonies and glam pop theatrics. Their debut album Belly Button is considered by critics and music fans to be a cult classic. Now, they did quite an extensive tour for the Belly Button album from 1990 to 1991, including their biggest show, which was opening for In Excess at Wembley Stadium, which is pretty amazing. Then band politics kicked in, and Jason quit along with the bass player Chris Manning. After Jellyfish, he went on to co-found The Greys with another well-respected producer, composer and multi-instrumentalist, John Bryan. But this proved to be a short-lived project, and that's when he opted to go solo. And it's that solo career where his reputation has really been forged. He released his debut album, Author Unknown, in 1996, and that earned really strong reviews. And apart from the string arrangements and one guitar overdub, he basically played everything on it himself. He then followed that up with another solo album, Can You Still Feel, which was co-produced by none other than Nigel Godrich, the legendary producer who has worked with Radiohead, Beck and Paul McCartney. And it was Godrich who called Jason the most technically perfect player he's worked with, so that tells you a lot. And from there, Jason became one of the most trusted musicians in the business. He's played on records by Beck, Amy Mann, Air, Brendan Benson, Susanna Hoffs, and even Paul McCartney, contributing to the Beatles' Legends solo album, Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. And then he's also played on the last couple of solo albums by Noel Gallagher, Who Built the Moon and Council Skies, both of which I'm very familiar with. So what about his live track record? Well, that's no less formidable as well. So as people know, Jason's been Beck's regular touring guitarist for many years now. And then more recently, he joined St Vincent's band on tour, to which he said, "Playing with St Vincent is one of the most thrilling things I've ever done." So yeah, he fits the bill nicely to drop into a major band like the Foos and to fill in for these few shows while Pat's missing. I'm sure he's got many mutual connections and acquaintances with the Foos over the years, but one that's worth mentioning that doesn't tend to show up in his bio is that Jason was part of the band that did the one and only live performance of Dave's track Play in 2018, and that was for the Warren Haynes benefit concert. He was one of 3 guitarists on stage for that performance, along with Alan Johannes and Barrett Jones, who regular listeners will know was my guest on episode 2 of this podcast. So that's a very quick synopsis of Jason Falkner's career, and for now, for a few shows at least, he's a member of the Foo Fighters.
Tonight, I don't know if you've heard, but our guitar player, Pat Smear, broke his foot. That's, I've been there, done that. He broke his leg. But tonight, we couldn't have Pat here. So we called our dear friend Jason Falkner to come and replace Pat so that we can come play with you tonight. Known Jason for decades, long time, amazing player. He's played with Beck and St. Vincent. He's played with everybody. And so he really saved us and rescued us tonight so we can come play for you. So everybody, give Jason a big thank you for helping us out tonight.
I'm sure you'll have worked this out already, but that clip was from the band's first live show of 2026 in León, Mexico on Saturday. And it was a really good set list. A bit shorter than usual because it was a festival, obviously, but Hey Johnny Park, Exhausted and Run all stayed in. Aurora was back after they didn't play it last time out in Mexico City, Corona capital. And the other interesting piece of news is that they apparently sound-checked a cover of AC/DC's Whole Lotta Rosie, which they didn't play in the show itself, but perhaps they're saving that one up for Tasmania when they head down under in a couple of weeks' time. But anyway, as you know, we like to leave no stone unturned on the podcast, and we try to get people on who've been to the shows as and when they happen. So this week we've got Cristian, who is a native of León, to share a few thoughts about the experience of seeing the Foo Fighters in his home city.
Thank you. You're the first people to say that to me, so thank you. It's beautiful. Thank you, that's very sweet.
Hello, my name is Cristian Macouzet. I'm from Mexico, from León. It's a city of about 2 million people. It's not the biggest city in Mexico, but it's also not small. I'm very thankful that the foosfilespod invited me to talk about my experience. Also, I want to tell you that my English is a little rusty, so sorry for that. And I wish I had that beautiful UK accent that, as you can hear, I don't have it. But I'll try my best to sound fluent. Now I'm going to talk about the concert in León, that it was something surreal, like no big bands go to León. Even if we're a city of 2 million people, like we don't really have big concerts. If we want to see someone big, we have to go to Mexico City, we have to go to Guadalajara, and that's it, or we have to go to the States, you know? So when they announced Foo Fighters in León, it was like a surreal thing for us, because in León we have a fair that it's kind of a carnival, that it's like I don't know how to say, like a town carnival, like almost like a ranch, like where you can eat tacos and you can eat some sweet bread, and there's also people selling shoes and people selling things for the kitchen, but in this kind of flea market. It's not a flea market, but it's almost like that. So it's like really surreal to have big shows there. Even we have the infrastructure. And then they announced Foo Fighters, and it was true. So the dynamic was they had these very, very expensive tickets so that you could buy and you could go up front. But they were like really, really expensive. They were like the price of a 2 days festival, that in 2 days festival you can see 20 bands. And here just to see the Foo Fighters. And then there were some completely free tickets, but you had to get on an online line, and you could get tickets or you couldn't get tickets. So I tried to get free tickets and I didn't get them. But then a friend got some tickets and he gave them to me so I could get there. But I was thinking of paying like this very, very big price, even though they came to the Corona capital in Mexico City back in November, and I watched them there. And they didn't play Aurora there, but it was a great show, so I didn't mind. But then in León, I got early, even though I wasn't up front. I was in a very good place. I could see like really, really well. And then many people didn't know what to expect because many of them hadn't watched Foo Fighters before. So the show started a little late. I don't know why. Maybe there were like some technical difficulties. It was supposed to start at 9, but it started like at 9:30. And I was afraid that they would cut the show at noon because sometimes they do that in León. Luckily, they didn't cut it. It lasted more than 2 hours. So it was great. It was amazing. And then, Dave is always very energetic, and they opened with All My Life, and the people went crazy from moment one. And in Mexico, we're like really cheerful. We like to scream, we like to sing, we like to dance, we like to jump. So from the second one, we were doing all that. And I think Dave was really impressed, and the rest of the band was really impressed. Something special that happened was that it was January 10th. As you know, Dave Grohl's birthday is January 14th. So the people sang happy birthday to Dave, but they brought balloons, they brought big signs. They even brought like these little things that explode and blow some little papers. And I think it scared a little bit Dave when it exploded. But all the place were singing happy birthday to him. And he was like, okay, this is the first time somebody do this for me. So he was like glad. And I think it went really well. Also, a very good moment was when they were playing Best of You. The whole stadium was singing the chorus like the whoa, and they wouldn't stop. So we sang that like for about, I don't know, maybe 5-6 minutes. And Dave says, it's so beautiful, I don't want it to stop. I think it was like a very special moment. Another very special moment of the show was when they actually played Aurora. He was going to make this song is for, and he didn't say the name, but I knew it was for Taylor, and then he said like for everybody. And they play Aurora, and then appeared this sign, this tattoo that Taylor had of the eagle that is like his sign. And it was also a very emotional moment of the night. And also when the concert started, he says, do you like rock and roll? And everybody was like, yeah. Do you like rock and roll? Yeah. So then when the concert was finishing, he said, at the beginning I asked if you like rock and roll, and now I can see you really, really love rock and roll. This is the first time for us in León, and we didn't know what to expect when they told us we were playing at a carnival. But now I see that it was about rock and roll and that you are really rocker. So that was like something really emotional and surreal for us, because we never imagined we could have Foo Fighters in León. Also, something special is that, as you know, Pat Smear has had this accident, this gardening accident, and he broke his foot. So they replaced him with Jason Falkner. He had played with St. Vincent, Beck, and so many others. So they've introduced him, and I think he did a really great job. I've seen Pat many times, and he's special and he's great. But I think Jason did a really, really good job. And he was also really happy and really impressed to play with the Foo Fighters and to see the reaction of the people. I think it may be for him one of his biggest concerts, and I think he really enjoyed it. And even in Ron, they were having like these solos, Dave, Chris, and Jason, and they were improvising, and I think they did it really, really good. So it didn't feel that bad that Pat couldn't go because Jason made such a good work. And how much did it mean to us for the Foo Fighters to come to León? The city is still in awe, you know? I have talked to a lot of friends who went there. The social media went crazy all the weekend, even today. They're still posting videos, posting pictures, posting that they can't believe that they saw the Foo Fighters. Even in the show, Dave asked who had seen the Foo Fighters before. And he does that every show. And in other cities, like, everybody has seen the Foo Fighters where they go usually. So like a lot of people raise their hand. But here in León, less than half the people raise their hand because they really hadn't had the opportunity to see the Foo Fighters before. And maybe less than half the people we had seen them before. So I think that was something really special too, because everything was new for them. They didn't know what to expect. And that's why they really knew why Foo Fighters is one of the greatest bands of the world. Because when they play, they're so amazing. They're so good. They make these longer versions of the songs, these introductions, these long solos. So I think it was really, really special for the city. And as a friend said in social media, this year León turns 450 years since its foundation. Actually, this carnival is made every year in this month in January because that was the month where León was founded. So he said, maybe in 450 years of history of León, this is the most epic night of all. And I agree with him. Maybe it's the most epic night that has happened in a city of 2 million people, that the Foo Fighters went and played a great show and made so many people cry and so many people dance and sing and enjoy with the songs they've grown with. Because even if Foo Fighters never went to León, or they took a long time to go to Mexico for the first time, their songs were played in the radio, in MTV, and they have such a huge fan base from so many years. So it was like maybe the most epic night of the city, thanks to the Foo Fighters.
Thanks so much to Cristian for sharing that really passionate message. It was so nice to hear how much it meant for him to have the Foo Fighters come and play in his home city. You might have noticed he name-checked Aurora a couple of times. Now, I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but he's got a lovely story about that song, which we're going to put out in a future episode. So listen out for that one. And as you know, do love to get the fans on the podcast. So if you're going to a show anytime soon and you want to come on and talk about it or send in a voice note, get in touch at foosfilespod@gmail.com and we'll get you on the show. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening as always, and to anyone who is going to the show at the Forum tonight, have the best time. We'll be recapping that one next week. And if you're enjoying the show, don't forget to hit the follow or subscribe button on your favourite podcast app. Take care, and we'll see you next time.